this station, its management, or other hosts or advertisers.
Here we go. Welcome to Tampa Home Talk with your host, native Tampa real estate girl, Katrina Madewell, a full-time passionate, out-of-the-box thinker with love for home ownership, kind of realtor, with nearly 30 years of combined mortgage and real estate experience. Tune in every week at this time for expert advice on everything you need to know about home ownership, finance, maintaining great credit, building wealth, and making your everyday life better, and how you can be financially successful today and tomorrow. Remember, love where you live or let Katrina fix it. Now, here's your host of Tampa Home Talk, Katrina Madewell.
Well, good morning and welcome. This is Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell. Thanks so much for joining us today on this Friday morning. And we have a full house lined up for you.
Full house.
We do. Adam and Leo are in the house, my favorite counterparts here at Tampa Home
right
Talk.
In the eyes, buddy. I missed you.
And they're both here. We also have a couple of our peeps from Krewe Save Yours. Mr. Bill, or is it Captain Bill?
Captain Bill.
Captain Bill.
Got the hat on today. Got to go with Captain.
Heck yeah,
And
bud.
Jessica, welcome.
Good morning.
Am I supposed to add another supplemental? Jessica's good?
No, we're good
Okay,
right now.
all right.
It's cruise season? I
It's
didn't think it was.
almost
I didn't think it was
so-
January parade season.
Tomorrow is Crew Rush, and that's what we're going to be talking about with them. We also have a full house to talk about all the stuff that's going on in the real estate market, in the mortgage market. As I predicted last week, the Feds dropped the rates 0.5%. Remember?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know if
We're
it's going to be a
shocked.
quarter or half. They're definitely going to drop it in the September. I said that early.
I thought it was going to be a quarter, but I'm
I said I
happy
thought
it's
a half, yeah.
But
I
Well-
felt like they got pressured. I mean, let's be honest. Everyone's like, it needs to be a quarter. It needs to be a quarter. It might be zero. It might be zero.
No, it
and then
wasn't
as it
gonna
got
be zero.
closer, it's like, it needs to be a half. It needs to be a half.
Yeah.
It might be a quarter. It's like they're pressuring the Fed. The Fed want to influence election. Let's run with it.
I'm not going to say I know everything, but I did predict this. So including at the beginning part of the year, if you remember when everyone was saying, oh, the Feds are going to drop the rates, the Feds are going to drop the rates. I'm like, no, they're not. The real estate market is still too hot. People are still spending money way too crazy. Inflation is still off the chain. They're not going to change the rates. The only reason why they changed this one is because we're right around the corner of an election.
yeah.
It was
they're-
technically a little
they're
too early.
predicted to change to lower this one November, February, and the one I think it's April or May, whatever comes after it. That's going to be a grouping of decreases, and then they're going to just level off. That's the bigger prediction.
Where do you think we're going to level off at from a rate standpoint?
In my opinion, after 33 years in this industry, I think where we're at right now is normal. Like it's where rates should be on a normal speaking level.
4.5 to 5 is where
Here's the thing. When people think about interest rates, they think, oh, well, it affects what I can finance a car for or what I can buy a house for. But the truth is it also affects what people that save money get on their return. So if they want to put money into something really safe like a CD, you have to reward your savers. That's how our economy works.
No, our economy works by our savers spending. Spend.
But you're like with anything, you're going to have the black and the white, right? You're going to have the people that spend and you're going to have the people that save.
We don't say that anymore.
Yeah, okay. I'm just talking about vanilla to whatever. Let's not make this into something it's not, Leo. Anyway, so essentially, you're going to have spenders, you're going to have savers. That's some of the big differences. And so you can't have all spenders. Yes, America is a whole country full of consumers for sure, and that is what makes us go round. But you definitely are going to have your savers as well. And if you don't believe me, ask your bank. I mean, I had one of my bankers in here this week. They are going after deposit accounts. They don't care if it's a regular bank account, if it's a CD. They want deposit accounts. That's their focus right now. Some of them are still doing home equity. Some of them have already pulled, which is odd, I think.
Yeah, it's just our economy exists by spending. We have the deficit, we have the gross domestic product. All of these things revolve around spending, not saving. We don't have the gross saving product, and we don't have the...
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but it still is built on people that save. People have to have a way to save, because if they're not making any money in a safe CD, what are they going to do? They're going to invest it into real estate, also another safe class. The stock market is not, it's legal as gambling. I mean, it's volatile. You could put it into an index fund. That's probably a little more safe than just throwing it into one stock.
Gambling is legal. I have a Hard Rock app on my phone.
I'm just saying, like, there has to be some sort of safe haven for people that have saved cash.
Yeah.
That's all. So speaking of which, Shriner, do we have Sarah Crickey with us yet from the mortgage firm? She's going to be calling in probably closer to the latter segment. Let's go over the real estate numbers for the hour, and then I think you're going to wrap up with a little insurance and charity tip.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Perfect.
So we got,
be looking for Sarah. She's going to be piping in here probably the next segment.
New listings at 862. We've got pendings at 778. We've got decreases at 1392.
Still sharp. That's
and
normal.
solds at 620. So we are steady. Like if this was a ship, like maybe being towed by a tow truck, we're on that parade route. In a parade route, we're on that parade route, and we're just going steady. We're like car number 45 or 46, just following the whole stream of 50 to 70 floats. That's what we're at right now with this.
When do we get off the parade route
so
and
let
see
me,
it go 50
let me add a little
back?
bit to this. So while these numbers look consistent from 1 week to the next,
Which is awesome.
Largely they are. I will tell you, you have to look at the number of sold listings compared to the number of active new listings coming on the market. Your sold for the last 7-day trend went out at 620, and your new is coming in at 862. So that tells you more inventory is coming into the market than what is selling. So we're still moving into this balanced market. I got to look at our absorption rate again. I haven't looked at that in a minute, but I think we're between a 4 and 5 month supply of homes.
Do you think with the rates going down, you'll see those solds tick up?
We honestly, big picture, like economically, generically speaking, I think we need to move into a balanced market and just hang there because that's normal. We're almost there. We're not quite there yet. We've still been in an extreme seller's market for a long time. But I'll tell you, there's stuff we have that's sitting. There are listings that are not moving. A lot of them. I mean, my place included. I was promoting it on the air, and then I ended up renting it.
There are some open houses that have been around so long, the real estate agents have basically moved in.
Yeah. I have seen some this week. It was like 2 or 3 of them where they were going to close at the end of this month, and they kicked the can down the road to the end of next month.
Yeah, because they think there's going to be this sharp decrease in the prices, but it doesn't work like that. So lenders have already factored in that anticipated rate drop into their numbers when the regular mainstream lenders get rate sheets every day. They don't actually get rate sheets every day. I think it's like online now. But anyway, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So there's going to be more. It's more of a trickle effect, and Sarah will talk about that when she comes on next segment. So it's not like, boom, you show up, and now it's 0.5% lower than it was yesterday. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
So it's a slower roll, but overall, they're going to probably hang where they are, and we've seen everything from 5s to 7s. So I'll have her talk about roughly where the rates are right now. And of course, it depends on the scenario, right? The buyer, what is your credit score? How much are you putting down? What's your loan amount? There's so many factors that change the interest rate on a property.
Nice.
So what do you got for insurance? What do you got shaking this weekend?
Insurance, all I would say is, as Leo will tell you, the late season storms are always the risk for Tampa. So if you're going to get flood insurance, now is the time.
There was a little something poking down off of Africa. Did you see it, Leo?
Now we can do private market as soon as 10 days out, right? Normal FEMA flood is going to be 30-day wait. So if you get something now, you can probably get a pretty good rate, and you can can get that in place before something comes. And those are cheap. Like I did a house yesterday, and it was $500, right? So I mean, we're talking really inexpensive to have some CYA if we do get something, because I think it was about 2.5 weeks ago on that Wednesday when it just rained like crazy. I mean, I was going down North Boulevard, and I was worried about my 4Runner getting through the water, and there's a Prius going full submarine mode in front of me, and you don't want that auto claim on your history either.
Well, your car is kind of done if you go through water.
Please be safe out there.
Unless it's one of those duck cars.
Yeah.
Which also make great floats, by the way.
They do. They look awesome. So that's it on the insurance. And then last thing I wanted to kind of hit before I depart, since we have such a full group, and we're going to be talking about Crew Rush and crews. A lot of them are focused on giving back, right? You guys raise a lot of money to give back.
All of them. Every single crew has a
charity. So I think we've talked about this before. I'm in the Ybor City Rotary Club, and our next fundraising event is going to be a bourbon ball at the Tampa Garden Club.
I had my wedding reception there.
It's going to be on October 25th. And we have a bunch of distillers coming. Pat George is going to DJ for us. So if you're used to Pat, come see Pat and check it out. And if you're interested, just text bourbon to 813-377-2775, and we'll get you the information.
Definitely. What's the cost for the bourbon ball?
It is $125 for general admission, and then it is $175 if you want to go to the VIP cocktail hour.
What does somebody get for the VIP cocktail hour?
So
what can they expect?
For the VIP cocktail hour, Trey, who owns Liquor Depot, they have a bunch of different locations in Tampa. He brings really exclusive, rare, select picks that you can't find anywhere else. So you get to sample all of those. And then for the distillers, we're going to have stuff from Horse Soldier. We're going to have stuff from Old Elk. We have a lot of stuff from Lux Row, which has 3 different brands that they work with. Heel and Curly is going to be there. So we're going to have a lot of stuff. And then, of course, open bar, food, dancing, the whole deal.
Sounds awesome.
Cigar roller.
A little bit of a bourbon party with a purpose, huh?
Yeah.
Now, what's your charity going to benefit? What's the purpose of it?
Thank you for asking, because I almost forgot to say that. This year, we're sending all of the funds. Now, we do always keep some money back for our foundation, because that's what we give out to. End of the year, we give out to about 10 different charities. But for this one, we picked one specific one to give all the funds to. And that's going to be starting right now. And starting right now helps homeless children, get through like middle school, high school, that kind of stuff, helps get them to the next level. So I think Sarah's calling.
Oh, she's on. Okay, yeah, we're going to have
Sarah's
her on
texting.
segment
That's
2.
what that was for. People should watch us.
I can't
too,
see.
by the way.
There's like a
Smash, like, and subscribe. Get to see the magic. Every stutter, every hesitation, every every like. You can see why it's happening if you like and subscribe and watch us on YouTube.
Well,
This is live
Bill
radio.
was
You're gonna
watching
miss, You're going to
before.
miss the outfits if you don't go to YouTube.
Yeah, Bill was watching before, and the first thing he said, he's like, "Man, I thought this place was huge," and I was like, "Our place is huge. Go to the station."
Yeah, the station's a phone booth. This
Literally.
is the Ritz.
The
compared
Taj
to the
Mahal.
station.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it's going to be an awesome event, and we're going to sell out.
So
if
their
you're
goal
interested-
is, what do? They try to place, like, what I know they're helping homeless children, but specifically, how do they do that? Like, where does money go?
Oh, through the power of alcohol, apparently.
No. So it helps. I do think they help with placement on finding the kids a place to live, but it also helps with mentoring. All of the additional support services that you need when you go through that kind of stuff as a child. I think you're going to need more than just here's a tutor to get you through. There's a lot of different support things that are necessary for kids that have that kind of trauma. I
haven't said this a lot, like publicly or on the air, but I was a guardian ad litem when I was younger, and it was around the time before I was pregnant with Nick, my second one. So I had just had Madeline. I was a guardian ad litem, and it's tough.
And
you see a lot of stuff.
I went to there. If anybody ever gets a chance, they do a big luncheon every year for starting right now. When I went, it was at the Trop. They had 500 people there, and the kids stand up and they give these speeches. And I mean, there is not a dry eye in that room. It's powerful. So I'm happy we're giving back to them.
Spend the $125. Go to the bourbon ball.
Spend the $175. Come for the cocktail hour.
It'd
be great. But yeah, so it's
so the
awesome.
$125 does not include cocktails.
No, it includes cocktails, but so it goes from 6 to 10. The 6 to 7 is the VIP cocktail hour where we're gonna have those really rare, exclusive stuff. And then 7 to 10 is the main event there.
All right. Well, I know a couple bourbon drinkers. I'm going to pass along the information.
Yeah, please.
I texted the word bourbon to 813-377-2775.
I'll send you the Eventbrite link.
Definitely texted the word bourbon to 813-377-2775.
Thanks for indulging me on this.
Call or text or off your number. We'll get you the information for the charity. If you want to help support Adam and the charity that they are pushing, they would very much appreciate that. If you want some information on Crew Rush, you need some real estate help, insurance, engineering.
And just remember, going to his event helps put alcohol in the hands of minors.
Oh, be quiet. Leo, I can't with you. Oh, my God.
That's the kind of advertising we're looking for at Rotary, so thank you.
This is Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell. Sarah Crickey's hanging on the line, and when we come back for segment 2, we're going to talk all about this Fed rate drop that happened this week of 0.5%. So this is Tampa Home Talk, 813-377-2775. Stick around. We'll be right back after this break.
Welcome home. This is Leo Kane with Barrel Engineering and Inspection, bringing you, I've been asked to be very serious this segment, bringing you Sarah Crickey, who's going to talk about the plummeting of the rates and its impacts on the mortgage. And I'll have a couple of key questions that I need answered myself. But
Sarah Crickey, official show partner for Tampa Home Talk.
She is an official show partner. Sarah, are you there? Sarah, can you hear us?
All right. So we automatically have a 0.5% better, right?
We do.
Just
the Fed
kidding.
cut their rate by 50 basis points on the 18th. It is a big echo on my end.
Oh, sorry. I don't, Shriner, how's that? Is it okay on your side or is it just on hers? Okay. We got you, Sarah. It's going to drive you nuts, but
does this echo mean that the
0.5%
is going to be replicated for the next several rate drops? Is that the kind of echo we're expecting?
So the rate cut of 50 basis points
Probably not.
on the 18th was the
did she
largest.
drop off? I have a feeling she's going to call back in, yeah?
She might have dropped off. So to preface what you might have started talking about, the unemployment reports came out last Friday, which was going to impact the way the Feds were going to approach this rate decrease. Now, going into it, we were thinking if they were going to do a 0 or a 0.25. As we got closer to that unemployment rate, rumors started circulating that 0.25 could have become 0.5. And there's a lot of pressure right now on the group, the Fed. We are in an election year, and as much as they want to remain neutral and unbiased, they do have a lot of power on the economy as a whole, and the economy as a whole is a very big speaking point right now by the two presidential candidates. So the Fed met.
As it should be, just saying.
Yes.
It's a big deal.
It is a huge deal. And the two candidates have different opinions on how to fix said economy, and that's not what this is about. The Fed, on the other hand, have lowered their interest rates by 0.5 point, essentially making money cheaper. So what you have to think about the economy as a whole is the Fed makes money. U.S. government doesn't make money. The Fed makes money. And the Fed sells that money to banks. And the banks turn around and sell that money to you. So that's why you have a prime rate of, let's say, 6%, and you end up with bank financing at 7%. Because what ends up happening is the Fed has sold the money at 6%, and the bank is trying to make 1%.
That's the spread. That's how they make their money.
So when we were in this situation before where the banks wanted to make money and the banks were having a hard time due to the high interest rates, they were starting to cut into their percent, and they were starting to have less of a gain. So instead of getting that 1.5% that they wanted to, they were making 0.75 to 0.5% on the money. Because, as I said earlier, the economy in the United States exists by money moving. So the banks took a hit to keep money moving. So what's happening right now, and hopefully Sarah will rejoin us to reemphasize what I just said, is this rate decrease was to the bank's benefit. Wasn't really to the United States populace benefit. This is helping make money less expensive for the bank so they don't have to take quite the hit or the haircut or the shave or whatever other metaphor you want to use.
Yes and no. Yes, that is true. But I will tell you that if they don't drop their rates when they're getting it for 0.5% less, another bank will. So that's the competition element of it.
And then that has to do with Alexander Swift's law of supply and demand. So anytime you see a rate increase or a rate decrease, or anytime you offer a discount or you have to burden a higher cost, you end up only passing some of that on to the consumer, which is the end user, and then the business entity keeps some. That's where economic policies, if we go back to the 1980s with Reaganomics about trickle-down economy, it's good in theory and it partially works, but it partially doesn't work. If you infuse the powerful, the banks, they're not going to pass those entire savings on to the consumer. But at the same time, if you pass all of the savings on to the consumer, the organizations are still going to raise their prices to overcompensate. So you don't win. You as the consumer will never win if you follow a top-down or a bottom-up economics trend.
It makes sense. Yeah, it's like trying to time the market on anything. It's really hard to do that.
So what is neat is if you do have some term sheets and they're directly tied to prime plus 1 or prime plus 1.5, on those term sheets, you will see an instant decrease in your mortgage rates.
Like a home equity line of credit would be a prime example.
Yeah, if they're directly tied to rate plus. Now, if they're tied to something called LIBOR, which was a question I wanted to ask Sarah, how does the rate decrease impact LIBOR? What is LIBOR?
London Interbank Offer Rate.
So that would be the Fed of
It's
Europe.
just a different index, like prime. It's different.
But they're different. So if the rate if the U.S. rate decrease happens, what happens to the LIBOR index? If your loan is tied to LIBOR, what does that mean? So, I mean, it's very difficult for someone like Sarah to say, hey, rates just dropped 0.5%. You're getting 0.5% off on your...
Yeah, they're typically tied into the 10-year Treasury bonds, which I'm sure she's going to note on. How you doing there, Sarah?
I'm here.
Now, hopefully you heard a lot of my economic textbook speak while you were trying to get back on the air, so I saved them.
I was on hold, and I didn't hear anything, and it's still a little bit of an echo.
Okay.
Well, I basically explained the economics behind LIBOR, the Fed rate. We were just about to talk into U.S. Treasury bonds. So if you're doing anything like an SBA financing, those are going to be tied into Treasury bonds, which are going to have a 10-year cap. So with all that backstory out in the open, I'd like to turn it back over to you as an expert for how it impacts the consumer.
And can you touch on what a rate would be, Sarah? You can give us a generic, like if it's this credit score, 20% down, this loan amount, here's what you could expect today's 30-year rate to be.
So I'm actually working with a client right now I was working with last night, and
Louisa?
I can give you an example on her scenario. The Fed cut their rate by 50 basis points on the 18th, which was the largest reduction since the economic disaster of 2008. Does that mean that mortgage rates are going to fall 0.5% 5 minutes later? No. Our industry has already been pricing this cut into mortgage rates. We've seen them slowly shift down over the last month or so. I wouldn't expect to see a big shift in mortgage rates moving forward, but more of like a slow and steady reduction. We're factoring in future cuts as well as economic data moving forward. In a scenario that I priced last night, my client was looking at around a $230,000. I'm sorry, the echo is just distracting. It was about a $230,000 mortgage. And back in April, that rate with a credit score of over 720 was around 7.375%. In today's market, it would be 6.625. So on that loan amount, just the interest savings is $115.81 per month. Were you all able to hear that?
Yeah. Yeah, we got that. I was curious what you were looking at. So you had, out of curiosity, Sarah, can you give us a general idea? So the rates are sort of in the sixes. I know it depends on the loan amount and the credit score and the down payment and all that stuff. But is that roughly what people are looking at right now?
Correct. Yeah, and we've been able to get to the high fives in some scenarios. We have a lot of clients, obviously, that we closed in the last year in the sevens, even in the high sevens, that are obviously watching. And the idea is to just pay attention. You know, we want to refinance everyone we can, but it's a slowly improving market.
Yeah.
So let's say that you bought 6 months ago.
It's the audio is a little tough, Sarah, and I've got in-studio guests this week. I'm sorry, but go ahead and try and wrap up this segment, and then we're gonna switch to our guest in the studio.
Okay. So pay attention. Rates are improving. We want to find that sweet spot for everyone that makes it worthwhile in terms of their savings, where they can capitalize the lowest rate possible in the form of a refi. Rates are definitely improving across the board. If you're looking to purchase, now is the time. We're happy to run comparisons and different programs and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Definitely have her run a comparison because they can run that based on your current scenario and based on the rates where they are today. They can show you what the interest savings is, what the payment savings is. There's a lot of information in there. So like she said, watch and wait. Sarah, we'll have to have you back every week just to kind of keep a toe on the rates. So maybe we pull just a generic scenario that we use every single week. Maybe if someone's credit score is 700 and they're buying a $400,000 house and they're putting 20% down, maybe we can just roll with that scenario every single week and we'll have you report the rates. Yep, and then we'll keep our listeners up to date on what those interest rates are looking like every Friday morning. And then, of course, if you want to get an exact rate or you want to get an idea what you qualify for, you can call or text us at 813-377-2775. We're happy to get you connected with Sarah Crickey at the mortgage firm. She can run some scenarios and some rates for you and make sure it makes sense because there are some costs associated with refinancing. So 813-377-2775. That's our off-air number. If you'd like to connect with myself, Leo, Leo, Sarah, Adam, any of our guests, 813-377-2775. This is Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, and as soon as we come back, we're going to jump right into Crew Rush. So welcome, and we're going to talk to Captain Billy and Jessica as soon as we get back. If you've ever been curious or interested about Crew Life, stick around. We'll tell you all about it. Welcome home. This is Tampa Home Talk. Go ahead, Leo.
No.
We're debating on insurance.
We just had an insurance debate off the air,
Sidebar.
and I'm starting to drastically change my views on how I see the economy and all of the businesses therein, and I hope Mike Fasano can't hear me right.
We'll have to have another sidebar there, Mr. Leo, when we're not on the air. But all right.
But we were on the Facebooks.
We were. So you guys get a little extra if you want to watch on YouTube.
And that's
or
another
Facebook.
reason to catch us on the socials. You can actually see the behind-the-scenes discussions.
You don't have any of the commercial breaks, and we know you guys are watching. So thank you for doing that.
And I did get your feedback. I was a little too serious last segment, so now we're going to move on to something more festive and jovial, which is Cruise and Rush.
Share our show every week. Share it.
Oh, yeah, 813-377-2775. That's 813-377-2775. So I have the first big question. In college, I was a member of a fraternity, and I do know that when you graduate, there are the alumni versions of these fraternities, and sometimes there are Masonic orders, which is if you did not join one in college, if you were a tradesman or a lineman or something else, you could find a Masonic order or a lodge to join. How does Cruise fit into all that? I'm just imagining, as a person who's not in a crew, a bunch of people wearing togas or pirate outfits on a floating boat that's being driven on land, and I'm thinking, how is this different than a fraternity? So let's start there.
You're not wrong. So almost
that's what he loves to hear. He's hoping to hear that again.
So
I never get that at home.
I think there is over 150 crews here in the Tampa Bay area. And each one of those crews usually is tied to a nonprofit or a community give back at some level. So each crew has its own ecosystem, environment, and it's all about where do you want to fit in. Do you want to be a pirate? Do you want to be a cowboy? Do you want to be a steampunker like us? Do you want to be a Rough Rider or a ranger or a buffalo soldier? So the themes all kind of go with your personality and how you want to see yourself, as well as what is the community give back or the nonprofit charity that they work with.
And that could be largely what crew you might be interested in based on the charity ties, for sure.
Right. Your personality's got to match with theirs and vice versa.
So you have been doing this, Billy, for 15 to 20 years, right?
Well, with the crew of Sea Saviors for 15 years, and then I was part of other crews for the previous 5 years, correct?
Okay. And I know, Adelisa had asked you off air what got you into crew life, but everybody's story, right, is a little different. And Crew Rush, which is, I know, largely what we're going to talk about, is going on tomorrow at the Harley-Davidson in Brandon, right? It's still there?
Correct. Yep.
Glad I got that right. What time is Crew Rush starting? Is it 6 to
5?
10?
5 to
10?
9.
5 to 9. I was off by an hour. I was close. 5 to 9 at the Brandon Harley-Davidson. And then do we know what crews are going to be there? I think I saw Brigadoon is going to be there. I know Sea Saver is going to be there. You guys organize.
Yes, KBR, which is Crew of Blackbeard's Revenge, is going to be there. The Peg Leg Pirates are going to be there, and the South Shore Marauders. But then we've had a bunch more come in the last week. I think it's it's kind of getting popular, and let's get in. So I don't know where everyone's signed up yet. I know those that I've named.
So let's talk about Crew Rush because it's open to the public, so anyone can come hang out with all the different Gasparilla crews. What should the public expect, and how should they interact with the crew members?
Well,
That's a good one, right?
So Crew Rush is, I'll point out, a family-friendly event. So there's going to be vendors, there's food, there'll be live music. You get to interact with the crews. Each of the crews will have like their own little setup, and most of them will dress in some fashion that resembles what they would wear on a parade route. So you can come around, just get to talk to people, get to know them. Some of the sponsors that sponsor different crews will be there as well. Just come and interact and have a great time. It's a very low-threat environment to come out and have a good Saturday afternoon.
There are some cool vendors there, too. They sell a lot of really cool stuff, from jewelry to
all kinds of art.
Cups.
Different
art,
stuff.
really
different
cool
stuff. That's what I like. And we really focus on those kinds of vendors. So if you're into like the marine environment, you'll see more of that stuff as well. It's not going to be your typical fare kind of vendors.
Right.
It's a little over the top.
How long has Crew Rush been around? Do
I
you
think
know?
this is our 8th year.
Okay. I knew it wasn't a long time, but I didn't know how long.
So I hear about things like waiting lists to join crews, and you might get lucky enough to get a walking behind the float and not on a float position as a guest.
That's how most people start, right? Like in a security type walking with the crew.
Yeah, every crew's different, and it's really these are good questions that you should ask if you're interested in a crew. What can I expect my first year? Because each one's different. There are some crews where you have to ante up, and they literally do like a raffle to get on certain spots of the float for the bigger parades.
Yeah, it's an interesting time. What's that look for?
No, I mean, it's just it is very interesting. And then there's how many parades? And I heard that the city has shut down adding new crews, and I heard that rumor last year.
They've been trying to do that, I think, for a while.
Yeah,
'cause there's
so
a lot.
obviously they have to limit how many floats, because otherwise the parade could go on for 5 to 6 hours.
Or days.
So yeah, that too. And the biggest problem now is as the floats have gotten bigger, and not just the floats, the pull vehicles. So now we have full-on semi-trucks pulling a 20-foot float, and the truck is 30 feet. So there's only so much space to pre-stage the parade before it gets up. And I literally want to say it's now pre-staging. I think the parade is 7 miles, but pre-staging is 3.5 miles. So if you walk from the first float all the way to the last float, it would be 3.5 miles long.
Yeah, it's Have you ever tried to walk that? Like you were hanging out with one of the crews last year.
Yeah, no, last year
It's a long. We never did see each other. I was walking too, and
I found your family.
Oh, I know. I never saw you.
Yeah, we were like number 45. You guys were about 5 behind us, and then your float was in the 80s, so you never made it to us.
Wait, yeah, I never did see you. You saw my family. Like I said, they walked a little further than I did.
Well, it was fun. I mean, if you time it right and you throw one bead every 15 seconds,
Oh, my gosh.
you can actually
Only
get away
Leo
with
would
3 bags of beads
Oh, gosh.
for the entire float.
I've never calculated it like this. You just tell me, but Leo would totally calculate
I
it.
calculated it. I calculated. I had so many beads, and I knew how many beads I had, and I calculated how much I should be throwing, and then I had my watch that would just buzz, so I could just not be paying attention, and I feel the little vibration on my wrist, and I throw a bead.
That's overthinking the gas for
we
real.
should-
That's
It
underthinking
sounds like
it.
efficiency, though.
That's underthinking. My watch buzzes.
Can you imagine you're
throw a
on the
bead.
parade and you
Yeah.
throw? Like
We should institute that, because our problem is we got people, they think they got to throw everyone. I'm like, pick a certain type of person, whatever that person is. I'm only going to throw to people with blue eyes or redheads or someone wearing a purple shirt. And just because otherwise, you see some people like, is your arm hurt the next day? We're going to have to put that thing in a sling? Yeah. The way they throw beads. It's
The other
crazy.
thing to keep in mind, if you divide the parade route into thirds, everyone ends up like running out of beads near the last third of it. So you can grow the intensity. You can start with one bead every 30 seconds, then go to one every 20, and then go to one every 10
I'll tell
when
you,
you get to that final.
In my opinion, some of the best places to get the beads are either in the beginning or the end part of the parade route, because people are actively throwing right away as soon as you hit the line, right? And then at the end, nobody wants to carry the beads, so anybody that's got them left is dumping them. Yeah. So you might not get the best ones at the end, but you're going to get a bunch.
Yeah.
But we're just talking about one parade. There's like 6 in the circuit.
I remember last year, my daughter and I were walking because the float dropped us off like so far. And I don't remember which parade it was, one of them, but there was some people, you could tell they weren't from here. They were from out of town. And there was a little girl. You could tell it was like the grandparents. It was a little girl and like a younger brother that were walking. My daughter and I randomly had a few beads left that we had on, and a couple of the swords from Brigadoon. And they were getting out of the car walking, and the parade was ending. And the grandma's like, come on, let's go. And the little girl starts crying because she realizes the parade is over. Like she realizes like it's not going on, and she literally starts crying. I'm like, no, you didn't miss the parade, honey. Here you go. So my daughter and I took off the beads we have left, gave it to her. She was so happy. She lit up, So it's a little stuff like that I think we as crew members remember.
Yeah.
As opposed to like the masses.
It's amazing what a 6-cent bead could do.
Yes, they're so excited by it, and we had some of the big ones left too that we were wearing, so we gave them those.
Awesome.
And they were.
Those are
really
12-cent beads.
Yeah, they are, but they're excited by them. You have a little 7-year-old little girl. It's not about the 7 cents.
So back to the rush. So we show up on Saturday. We talk to different vendors. We talk to different crew crews.
Crew members.
We talk to different crew members, and then they each have like application processes, background checks. I mean, like, how in depth does this get?
I mean, at this point, most crews are closed, right, for the next Gasparilla season?
You'd be surprised.
There's
so many crews out there right now, and some are very picky, some not so much. So, like I tell everyone, you really need to look at a couple different crews. I highly recommend going to their monthly meetings or quarterly, whenever their meetings are. Every crew runs it differently. Some you feel like you left work and you're walking into your second job. I make sure that's not how it is. I want our meetings are fun. People enjoy coming to our meetings. I want it to be kind of like this here, where it's give and take.
Yeah.
Some crews, everything's a vote. There's committees. There's parliaments and the whole 9 yards and the pop and stance and gavel banging. We don't do any voting. It's my way or the highway, and it works so far.
That's the way you guys do it?
For 15 years, and not everyone agrees with me, but they can't argue with the success, so there we are. But every crew is different, and that's the idea. And back to Crew Rush, when
every crew is different. Ours has a board and they vote. They're a little different for sure.
And what I wanted to do from the beginning when we came up with Crew Rush was to bring the crews together, because we were very standoffish, very cliquish. 20 years ago, certain crews couldn't go to another crew's party. Oh, don't invite those guys. Don't invite those women. And I'm like,
I think it's changed a lot.
A lot, yes. Yeah. And you're seeing now everyone's more accepting and gathering and much more appreciative of each other.
Anybody know the countdown to Gasparilla? Like how many days? Usually
it's January 25th. I know that.
How many days is that?
Well, it's September 20th.
If you go to the Gasparilla Parade, they have one of those
the ticker
countdown tickers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I always tell people, because I grew up here in Tampa. There was one parade when I was a kid, and they closed school when we watched that, and now we have like 20.
Yeah.
We have so many different parades for sure. It's changed a lot over the years.
We change up. So this year, last year we did Chasco up in Pasco County. Mm-hmm. Really enjoyed that. We had done it in the beginning, but we couldn't go back. We couldn't make the parade route. Our float was too big. We couldn't get under the trees. So they cut the trees, and we were able to get back. The year before that, we did Pride in Ybor City. And then this year, a new parade for us will be Brandon is doing a lighted Christmas parade.
Oh,
Where downtown Tampa has a Christmas parade, but it's in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And it seems to be always the hottest day in December that they pick that day. So it'd be nice to...
So I haven't asked this. I probably should. I wonder if your crew is doing some stuff that our crew is not doing, and I could guest on your crew. Is that possible?
You absolutely can.
Okay.
Yes.
I have some different attire. I don't have all kilts. So there's that. This is Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host, Katrina Madewell, hanging out with Billy and Jessica. Are you guys having fun?
Having a great
time,
this
yeah.
morning? It's not as fun as Gasparilla, but it's a little bit of fun.
It's a peek behind the curtain. I kind of wanted to see what it was like.
The most fun they'll let us have on radio.
127 days.
There we go, Leo. Thank you. This is Tampa Home Talk. Our author number is 813-377-2775. If you want to call or text, you want some information, you want info on Crew Rush, I'll let you know who you're looking for. 813-377-2775. I wish I was hanging out with you guys, but I'm going to be at a wedding. 813-377-2775. This is Tampa Home Talk. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome home. This is Leo Kane with Beryl Engineering and Inspection. I'm about to do, not right now, but in a couple of minutes, my favorite part of the hour where I get to announce an open house. I haven't announced an open house in over a month, and I'm excited to be able to do that. But before we do that, we have crew stuff. So
let's talk a little bit more crew stuff. Yeah.
So Rush is this weekend?
This Saturday.
And where is it?
Tomorrow at the Brandon Harley Davidson.
Yeah, Brandon Harley Davidson.
In Brandon Harley Davidson.
And how long? It's from like 12 to 3, 11
5 to 9.
5 to 9.
And how many crews are confirmed at this point to come?
I think we had 10 or 12 at one point.
And we'll probably pop in a few more, I would imagine.
There's a couple that are also attending, not showing, if you will, signed up to be there, but also coming to interact with.
We call that suitcasing when the people walking the floor try to steal from the vendors.
There you go.
I don't think it's really that way.
It's not
I
stealing,
think,
though.
yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head, Billy. Where everyone is a little bit different, the vibe is different from one crew to the next, and I think a lot of people like me, you go where the people are, right? Like you're in the crew that they're in. And I know quite a few of them. I mean, I've done Tampa Home Talk for 11 years. We've featured multiple Gasparilla crews on in all 11 years. As a matter of fact, we might have to it's hard with the Christmas, right? But I think it's late. What day is Gasparilla? January?
25th.
So we might have to have crews on every week for January just to.
You have 127 days.
Yeah, we have 127 days. You can start prepping 90 days from now. And remember, you have the Children's Parade. That's the week before. Mm-hmm. The family-friendly version of Gasparilla?
Yes, that's when it all kicks off, the dry parade.
For that parade this year.
Are you?
We are very excited. We've got a great theme.
Tell me, is it open or not yet?
The theme for the day parade or
for the children's parade? So the steampunk, one of the things people like about the cost is I allow everyone, we're going to change our costumes. So she can have a different look at every parade, as long as it's in the steampunk world.
And purple.
And
No.
We even change colors. So only on Gasparilla do we say, hey, this is what the theme we want, purple, gray, silver. But then Children's Parade, we started coming up with different themes. We've done Disney. We've done the blow-up T-Rexes one year. That was a huge hit. And this year we're going to do Wizard of Oz.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's Wizard of Oz with a steampunk flair.
Which is basically the movie Wicked, which does come out November 22nd, by the way, just in time for Thanksgiving. And if you are lucky enough to get advanced screenings, those are happening around the Bay Area on November 20th. Make sure you hook up and try and get an advanced screening to the movie Wicked.
It's going to be amazing.
Contrary to what you see, and I just want to warn the listening audience, the previews are making it look like a movie. It is still a musical. They are being very secretive on the fact it is a musical, and I wonder how many people they will anger because all of the advertising is not showing you the fact it is the actual musical.
Do you think Tampa Theater will host that?
I hope Tampa Theater is going to be hosting Wicked. That would be a logical place to see it. We'll have to ask Jill about that.
Yeah, it's about time to have them back. It's been a minute. So what else should we add?
One thing about Crew Rush that I don't think people – Harley Davidson is almost like a ranch. It is a spectacular piece of property.
A dude ranch?
Almost, yes. Think about that.
I didn't realize it was that big, but it goes behind it too, right?
It's like 7 or 8 acres, maybe even bigger. Wow. So there's plenty of parking.
Back when Brandon had property.
Yes. And they grabbed a bunch of it. And actually they have this monstrous longhorn steer is on property. I think they have a couple donkeys.
Wow.
So it's
I
kind
never
of
noticed
neat.
that.
Yeah, huge windmill. So it really has that look and feel. There's what's the name of the bar on the back? Red Star Bar is on the backside. They're helping support Crew Rush. And then Harley decided they were going to stay open. And any motorcycle sold on between 5 and 9, they're going a nice donation. And
that's great. If you're looking to buy a Harley, go tomorrow between 5 and 9 to Brandon and Harley.
Interest rates are dropping.
Yes, that's right. They'll find it for you.
So, and our give back and our charity that we're giving back, our proceeds for Crew Rush is going to the veterans and specifically the VFW in Ruskin.
Okay. I love it.
Unfortunately, so many of our veterans, and down there they have a lot of guys from World War II, and they're just being overlooked, and the cost of living they can't keep up.
Yeah.
So that's really where our money goes, is to help them stay up with their cost of living.
Who are the charities that you guys support? So.
Mostly, we used to do boating and trailering, and we still do, and trying to keep a look at the impact we leave on our environment as far as the water is concerned. We do that somewhat, but our biggest give back and our number one charity I've kind of switched to is our veterans.
That's nice. I love to see the crews especially giving back to the veterans, because I think you're right. They are largely overlooked by a lot of different organizations. There's so many organizations that help kids and stuff like that, which are great, but our veterans made our country what it is. So I love to see that you guys are giving back.
And we do a lot with them down there. And Ruskin is just one because they appreciate it. There's nothing worse than when you do something in the community and they're like, hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Where these guys they enjoy the camaraderie. They like it when we just show up, and they love the costumes, and they know what we're doing for them, and so they're a big part of it. Yeah.
That's it, and yeah, you're right. There is that, like when you've worked hard to. It's a lot of effort and energy that goes into a lot of the fundraising, a lot of the different things. So to give back and somebody be like, thanks.
And it's not just sending a check. Like Bill said, it's the interaction. It's going down there and interacting with them, showing up for the dinners, having events down there at their facility, just all kinds of things. The interaction, it's a lot of payback. You feel the difference that you're making.
For sure.
Having those conversations.
Jessica, one of the things I want to chat about, I have on my notes here that you handle a lot of the pub crawls. Yeah? Do you want to talk about that?
I can, certainly. So our crew owns our own bus, which is great for us. It helps us get to events, and one of the events we started doing a couple of years ago was these pub crawls on the bus. So a lot of the pub crawls you hear about in crew world are like maybe in Ybor or somewhere where you're walking from place to place. Well, we take our bus, which gives us a broader reach. So we like to take our crew somewhere that's maybe not used to having crews show up. So they get to have
where do you guys go on the bus?
So we've gone all over like Seminole Heights. We've gone down towards Ruskin. We've gone into Tampa, not Ybor, but like further into different areas of Tampa. We actually have one next weekend, Costtoberfest. So we're doing an Oktoberfest theme where we're going to visit 4 different breweries in the area that are expecting us. So we'll drop in for about an hour or so. I'm not allowed to give away the locations, but the first one's not so far away from here. So we're actually coming up into the Lutz
I might
area.
have to sneak away and come hang out with you guys, especially when you're in Lutz.
But how often do you get crew up in Lutz? Right?
Yeah, we don't.
We'll be on theme.
So we're not talking about where we're doing that yet, right? We're waiting.
Well, if we tell people, then they show up, and we miss out on the charity part of the event. So.
Got it. All right, Leo, can you do it in 30 seconds?
I'll give it a go. Now, we have an open house Saturday and Sunday. This is Barrel Project Engineering sponsoring of the open house announcement. We have an open house Saturday and Sunday at 4112 Flamingo Drive in Newport Richey.
New listing.
This beautiful 2-2 is a great starter home, great location, Newport Richey, 2017 build, $300,000 in price. We have 13252 Pendleton Street in Spring Hill. This is just a vacant piece of land.
And the house next door will be available.
And the house next door is available. That is 13242 Pendleton. So you can buy both the house and the lot. That's the way I would play it.
We're out of time. Get call and text to get more information. 813-377-2775. 813-377-2775. Love where you live, or we're going to fix it. Welcome home.
Love where you live, or my mommy will fix it. And we're out.